is just what we simply live it through. Y'all know when I say we simply live it through, no matter what adversity or diversity we go through, all we can do is walk the path accordingly. What's up, gang?
What's going on?
What's up?
What's going on with y'all? Y'all like the new intro?
I love it.
Yeah, love it.
Yes, sir.
Make sure everybody was on there. You know, let
Yes.
the team be seen.
We all
Everybody
looking
know the family
good.
is growing. Yeah, everybody know the family is growing. The family is growing.
Oh yeah. Dude, you see, I had to make sure after they see the logo, they had to see who Vocal Vision was. So I made sure I put us up there.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Representing us right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Most
know,
definitely. Most definitely.
What they say, founding fathers. You know what I mean? So
Founding fathers.
Most definitely. Most definitely. All right, y'all. So we got a little topic we're gonna talk about today. A lot of people don't like having these type of conversations because it make people uncomfortable. It ain't like we about to, get into nothing crazy, no sciences or nothing like that. We just gonna keep it. Talk about, a little bit of some of the importance and how valuable this thing is today, and just a little surface conversation, nothing too crazy. So y'all know when we do it, is it disrespectful? I like to ask the open question just first. I got a couple little questions to dive into, but y'all know I like to ask that opening question first. Is it disrespectful when people force the theological religion upon others? So let's first just attack that, and then we can dive into it. So what y'all think about just that in itself? Is it disrespectful for someone to force the theological religion on? We'll start with Izzy, then Chef Joe, and then we'll go with Deuce. I'm gonna fix my lighting real quick.
I definitely think it's disrespectful. I mean, I think just the keyword force is just like the most disrespectful part about it. Anything in force is disrespectful. So to answer this question shortly, yes, it's very disrespectful.
Yes, I agree. Like pushing your religion on somebody is not very good. I mean, some people don't believe in religion and all that. So, and like Isa say that keyword force, like, why you forcing me to believe in something that I don't believe in? So yeah, definitely.
yeah, I guess I have to back both of y'all up. Like I don't think nothing of choice should be forced. So I think it's disrespectful just because it's a thing of choice, and you shouldn't force options that are meant to be options. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think, everybody know me. I'm not big on the concept of control, so I always speak to that concept of people making a decision. And I'm glad we're using this concept of choice because that actually brought me into the first question. And the question is more so, do most people choose their religion or do they just carry forward what was placed in front of them?
Ooh.
Do most people actually choose their religion or do they just simply, carry on from those who had preceded them? What y'all think about that? I'll start with Deuce, Izzy, and then Joe.
I think it's about the perspective on how you've been raised, really, when it comes to religions. Some people pass on their religions like they pass on skills or jobs and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? Some people show religions in concept of institutions of studies. So I think it's all about the way you was raised to view an aspect of life, how you approach it going forward. Other than that, I can see how I can see how when we coming up, we can perceive things to be forced on us because we learning it. When it's not really a force, it's really just an acknowledgement for you to make a choice later on if you're gonna really do that for yourself or not. So.
Okay. Izzy, what you think about the question? Do most people choose their religion or do they just carry on what was placed in front of them?
Well, I definitely think that not a lot of people choose a religion because I just feel like to choose your religion, you would have to have information on other religions, which a lot of people don't have. So I definitely don't think people choose their religion. Also, I definitely believe it's passed down from family because family, they kind of have like an identity that they carry. You know, like we dress this certain way, we believe these certain things. Even in cultures, we eat this certain type of food. Like, we do certain things that pertain to our identity as people. So I don't think when it comes to like, people, individual people, it's usually most likely passed on from a young age and then so on and so forth.
All right. Chef Joe, I think you muted.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
I definitely think it's passed down. I mean, growing up, I mean, I ain't really had no choice. Going to church and all that, being Methodist and all that. So it's definitely passed down. But as I got older, I started believing in my own. Well, listening to people talk and researching a little bit, I definitely, believe different things. But yeah, I think people was not forced, but grew up on that. So yes.
So yeah, I think overall most people actually don't choose their religion. They choose the acceptance to carry on what's mostly in front of them. And I agree with what Izzy said. I think like to make a choice, you have to have options. And if you don't understand or even see what the options really are, then you really you're not choosing that itself. You're just choosing the acceptance of what was there, not actually choosing the religion itself. So I think most people just carry on because it's tradition. You know what I'm saying? Like if your parents were, something, and you typically be exactly what they were, you carry it on. But there is an aspect of people who I don't want to jump the gun because I got another question. But there are a group of people who don't allow or like for you to study other things. They really want you to only do, follow one path. So, but yeah, just to answer the question, yeah, I think most people actually don't choose the religion. They just choose the acceptance. But that brings me to the other part. The other part of that is that yeah, I lost my train of thought. Hold on, I got my notes real good.
So first of all, why you think that someone would discourage other people from seeking other knowledge or other religions?
Control. They don't want you to believe in that, but what they believe in, especially your family, very religion.
Straying away from the pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I said very simple. I always said it's, faith equals manipulation. Manipulation then equals the fear, and then the fear equals power. So I always, said it that way, like, because that's typically what you get when people start to push it upon you. People do want to control you in certain aspects. Yeah, but that's with most doctrines. That's not even like within like the theological realm. Like that's with a lot of doctrines. Like people try to control you. People even got their philosophies around marriage that does the exact same thing. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of it is more so about control. You know what I'm saying? Most people, when they want to live a certain way, they try to make you live a certain way as well. And they don't allow you to have your own ways about you.
Yes, sir.
That is a fact.
Facts.
So do sometimes we misconfuse when we start talking about control from learning a discipline from something? You know what I mean? Because sometimes like we can be acquiring certain disciplines when we walk in a certain institution, whether it's a Christian institution, Muslim institution, all institutions to be organizations, right? So you want to get certain teachings and disciplines from these organizations. and no matter what organization we go into, it is a sense of control because of how they might want to teach it and the form they want to teach it. But just because we go in an institution, do we see everything as control, or are we learning certain disciplines to be able to be in this environment? You know what I mean? Like,
So the thing with discipline in itself is more focused upon what you place upon yourself. So you have like we call certain studies discipline. So I agree with you that yes, you can walk into it, but when someone places it upon you, that's control. Now, if it's something that you put upon yourself, that's a difference than if someone places upon you. So when walking into an institution and someone's telling you you have to move this way, you got to do this right here, that's actually the institution controlling you, not you actually being in control. So the lessons are within a discipline, but discipline is more so self than it is other people controlling you.
and what as a to be in America, wouldn't we say that at the age of 18, we moving out our parents' house, that control is gone. So then when we start seeing the people in adulthood and being manipulated, or say they let somebody else tell them how to organize your life in a certain type of way, wouldn't that be choice then? Because I would say, like, when we were raised with our parents, we didn't have no choice. And this is when we get our traditions and blah, blah, blah. But as we got older, it became our, especially if you're in America, like, we got the freedom to do what we want to do as far as picking and choosing. So that when we start saying, oh, this was forced upon me, over here, it becomes hard after a certain age point. And what would that age point be when you say, hey, man, like, you can't bring your upbringing or how you was raised on what your choices is now as an adult?
I agree. And I think it boils down to the willpower of the individual. Because some people once indoctrinated to a certain path, by the time they get old enough to make the choices, they don't know no other way. So they're being controlled without even understanding. It's the same way Black people like blame the government for a lot of stuff and love to say we're being held back and this and all of this other stuff like that. The same way they do that, even though everybody can make certain choices, we still say there's a certain level of indoctrination that's there that don't allow us to break away from certain things. Because all we're talking about is mental bondage more than anything. You know what I'm saying? Like how they always say slavery is not within the physical form, it's all up here now. And it's pretty much walks the same path. So what? Because you'll hear people when they talk. Some people they be like religion, and then some people be like spirituality. What is the difference between religion and spirituality, in y'all opinions? What is the difference, or is there a difference? It might feel like there is no difference. What you think?
Well, I looked it up. Like I took one of your things. I looked it up. Kind of what spiritual is like. What you the person believe in, and religion is like the church and the temples and all that. So that's from my opinion, that's what I got from it.
You're talking about organized religion.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Isa.
No, like I was just gonna add on to that. Like I definitely feel like religion is something that's more so constructed amongst like the masses, and spirituality, I feel like it's more like personalized. You know, like I feel like if God made me this way, why is what I'm doing wrong? You know what I mean? Like if I'm made in the image of God and what I think and what I do is like in the image of God, how is this wrong? I feel like that's more spiritual. If you're not like killing anybody or hurting anybody, really, I'm made this way. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Religion's more like, you know, something to like keep everybody in like
in line,
you know, because if you look at it, like a lot of religions, like I feel like in the core is kind of like the same. Like there's like the higher power. There's, you know, there's a book. There's this and there's that. So I just feel like, you know, all in all, it's to keep people in line and in check and in order, and to keep people in a way controlled. And spirituality is more so individualistic. And I feel like when you're more spiritual, you're able to really find out your sense of self.
Okay. What you think, Deuce?
Do the question one more time for me though.
So I was asking, if you feel there is a difference, what is the difference between religion and spirituality? If you even see there's a difference.
I mean, it's definitely a difference. Like they said before, your spiritualness is going to be what your essence, period. And your religion is going to be with your organization. Now, one can be your essence can be inside an organization. Don't get me wrong. You feel like certain things that attract you there, but that's not your totality. And the way I see it, as I got older, it's going to be hard for no one not to be in a religion or institution. Everybody's going to be attracted to a certain society that they fit in, and I can kind of like go through it with anybody. Like almost any institution is almost a religion. You got certain codes, conduct, structures, manuals, all kind of stuff to abide by.
True.
So we can go there with it, but religion is just going to be the organizational structure that you are under for your comfort. If it's your comfort, now if you're under some a religious structure that you don't feel comfortable on, and you have the choice not to be there, then you making a choice to bring harm to your own self. But if you're under forced rules in a certain country that forces religion, then you ain't got no choice in that, you know. But our essence, most people don't know how to tap into the essence. Mostly, that's why we have more followers than people who are truly themselves. So I say that's why everybody's always on a spiritual journey, because they're trying to find themselves, right? But and we get into institutionals as far as religions, because we seeking to find our spiritual essences. You know what I mean? Our attachments to life. So my whole thing is life is all about your spiritual journey, your essence. Your institution is just here to help you identify. If you can, if they don't, then I don't think that's the place for you to be. So I would say they're not the same, but they can reside with one another.
Yeah, I totally agree, because I was gonna hit on that as well, that your spirituality can exist within the organized, religion. I think everybody who know me know I'm a big pusher of self, and I always speak about self-development, understanding who you are before we start getting into anything else. You need to understand who you are before we start talking about kids, start talking about family, start talking about belonging in groups. I always until you can understand who you are, because if you don't understand who you are, the manipulation is bound to happen, because you have no understanding of who you are. So you're going to be controlled, because if you don't know who you are, you know what's going to happen? Somebody going to tell you who the fuck you are. And I don't believe that people should put themselves in places where somebody's telling them who they are, that you should understand who you are before you even choose these paths. And I always say, man, I think that it's a personal journey all the time. I think the spirituality, even when people have their spiritual essence tied up in the religion, it's a personal journey. Like, it's not about other people. It has nothing to do with other people. It's literally a journey in which that you choosing to walk. Because my next question that I'm going to ask is, why are there some people who make it seem like there's one religion better than the other? And it's a personal journey. It's really not for anyone to tell you or to try to persuade you or try to manipulate you to believe anything else other than. It's all about where it gets you and how it betters you and what actually helps you. That's just where I stand on it. So, to the next question. Why do some people feel like there's one religion better than the other? Or do y'all believe that there are certain religions better than the other? Because some people might actually believe that they are. What y'all think? Izzy, we start with you.
It's just what people do. I mean, the Republicans are better than the Democrats. The Christians are better than the Muslims. I don't know really why people do that. I think it's just like I feel like as humans, like we naturally think that like what we believe is better than the next person's, even though it's like all in a way like very subjective if you think about it, because religion is kind of, I feel like it is kind of subjective. Like obviously we, this is like a thing that we believe as how we were created and brought to this world and all that things. It's a sense of our personalities and sense of self. But realistically, I feel like humans always do that thing where they, we always say like, oh, we're better, but I'm not too sure why we do that. I can't really answer that question fully. I just feel like, it's really it's just like a pissing match almost. So I can't really answer that question fully. I just notice it's like a pattern that we always do, but I'm not too sure why.
Okay. Yeah, Joe, what you think?
No,
Nah, it's like more or why. It's more on the basis of what's real and what's not, right? So most of the time when people used to have like, we want to see which God is real, which God is not. So they would go out there and prove and try to do sacrifices, right? So sell to altars and boom, boom. We're gonna see who God can make this happen and who God can't make this happen. So it came back to really being at first. It wasn't who's better and who's not better. It was like try to fool who's fake and who's real, and then the who fake and who's real to certain degrees was not panning out because like may have two fake stuff going on and nobody winning, right? Because there's nobody winning. Now they're trying to see who is better because ain't nobody winning. So it's like, oh, your God fake, hey, your God fake. Both our gods fake, huh? So you ain't got no real God. Let's see who's better.
And I feel like, even in that's kind of like, I feel like that's kind of messed up to even like say like, oh, my God's better. Like, I feel like that kind of defeats the whole purpose of religion, to say like my religion is better. Because if you look at like certain, like, if you're a Christian, if you look at the commandments, there's certain commandments and there's certain ways that Christian essence is supposed to be. And even saying that whole phrase is my God is better or like my religion is better. I just feel like that's just that's just basically like taking one step forward and taking 10 steps back. Like it's not the point,
Even like how Du said though, like the real and fake thing, like that's the same thing. Like the positioning you
right.
have to be mentally to tell me like, man, your God fake, my God
like,
real. Like even
what?
that same structure, like what
how do you know? Are you God? Like what?
Well, in my opinion, to answer that question, like I from talking to KJ on other when I used to be home in South Carolina and he told me about the different books he read, the Quran and all that, and talking to another person that I work with, he's big into religion too. Like if you go back in each story or each ethnic Bible or whatever, they're telling the same story just in different versions. Like so we only
I was just saying that.
And like we ain't got it's only one being, one spiritual person who created all of us, but everybody like praying to different things, and it's just crazy.
How you know it was only one? How you know it wasn't multiple?
Well, who created the first one then?
Because most archaic religious systems always had multiple gods.
I mean, you can praise multiple gods, but
no. But I'm just fucking with you because you said it was one. It was one being that did it. I'm fucking with you. I'm saying, how do you know it was one? How you know it wasn't a team of gods? I was just fucking with you though. What you about to say, Deuce?
It was just on the whole thing of people are trying to seek a certain type of truth, right? Certain type of realism in their life so they can make certain things happen when they feel like they can't make things happen, right? And we have doubt. We're human beings. Don't get me wrong. We all gonna have feelings and emotions, period. And we look for outside sources when we can't. We are unable sometimes to feel weak. But at the same time, it's like we all gonna pull to an institutional organization or group or whatever in our human life. So it's like when we start battling about gods, that's when things get a little tricky. But the thing is I'd identify like our areas of improvement. You know what I mean? Because that's what we're really trying to seek, areas of improvement in our lives. It's just that when we start doing the whole "your God better than my God," then we start getting into a beef and matter or trying to prove something that I haven't seen no man prove yet. So I mean, I understand that you got historical ledgers. I'm putting like that, recordings.
Yeah.
Outside of just finding whatever you want to believe in, as far as that is, other than that, like you just probably realistic parts of life and your religion. Yo, let me put it like this: religion was basically just set up off of. First of all, it was off of tribes, and tribes came from families, and family and all this stuff was set up for the law of the land. So it's still gonna come at the laws and stuff like that, and when people get down to it. So when we get into religions, you find out most of your religions is tied to just lands. And if you want to have a different essence that you're attracted to, you probably just have to go to a different lane that appeals to the institutional structure that you want to be bound to.
I don't disagree
That was
with
it.
that. Why do because you always hear people talk heaven and hell, right? Why do people focus so much on these other planes versus their development within this plane that we walk right here? Why do people focus so much? Like there are some people who say they living their life. They living on this plane to be on the other plane. Why is that? What y'all think about that? My two at the bottom looks don't do, so I'm gonna let you go.
Yo.
You at the bottom look
Well, time. Nobody can stop the concept of time in your mind. So long as you live in it, you know you're waking up every day and you have something to be forward to. Everybody gonna have a forward outlook and have a history outlook just because we live in time. So as a human being, you can't get out of the realm of thinking about the future and the past. So heaven and hell is kind of like a future and the past thing. People always talk about going to heaven to have a wonderful future, right? And hell is something that's supposed to be ending. So it's like, to me, it's like a placement in time as far as all of our brains. We can't get away from it. Even if you don't believe in heaven and hell, everybody still ponder about life after death to a certain degree. They might don't know about it at all, but it's still a ponder. And that ponder, you know what I mean, gonna always live up to different stories. As long as we have a story that we don't know the direct answer to, we're gonna have plenty of stories about what it's gonna be like when we pass away, whether or not heaven and hell is real, because we got a story that we can't answer. You know what I mean? We can only believe in. So since we have no definite answer on heaven and hell, we can only have stories. And these stories have to be what we choose to, you know what I mean, say what we're gonna pick and choose from as far as our organizational structure and our own personal lives. That's my thoughts on heaven and hell. You know what I mean? Time affect us. We can't get around it. You gonna think about the future. You're gonna think about tomorrow. Can't help but to think about tomorrow. And you're gonna think about the past because things are happening in your present that happened in your past that you might not want to repeat or you learned from. So you can't help but to live in duality. And that's what people don't understand. Present is nothing but your present, your past, and your future in the present moment so you can make decisions. You can't help but live in both at the same time at all times. That's how you get present. Otherwise, if you're always living in the future, what a person being in the present for? The present is the future and the past in one. Can't get around it. That's why we think, and that's why we have time.
Chef Joe, what you think?
I'm gonna say like Keely and the B. Can you give me the definition and what you mean by that?
So when you talking about the question or something Do said?
Nah, the question.
Okay. So when I asked the question of why do people focus so much on the other planes versus what it is that right now? So I'm gonna answer it because the easiest way to break it down would be for me to explain it. So personally, I hear it a little differently. I think that most people like selling themselves something because most people aren't happy with their life. So I think
I was just gonna say that. Okay.
So
Okay, go ahead.
I think that it makes people feel good, simply feel good, to be like, yeah, man, I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm going to a better place. I'm going to be in a great place. I'm going to be in this. Oh, man, I'm doing this right here wrong. Oh, man, you would have been in the bad place, I literally think it's all feeling based. I think that people are unhappy with who they are, and we always look for something else instead of changing what the fuck is right there in front of us. I think that's the problem. Like, I agree with Deuce that it's all definitely time, but people plan and try to make so much use for time somewhere else versus the fucking time that you have right now. You're living right now, right the fuck now. But you want to chop it up to me about a heaven. You want to chop it up to me about a hell. What about right now though? What are you doing right now? What is life now? What is this life? Because you don't know. We don't know. It could be a bunch of hoopla, or it could not be. So because we don't know, why don't we focus on what we do know? And we do know we living right the fuck now.
Good point. Good point.
So that's what I ask, because a lot of people always want to focus, because you get around like, and I'm only gonna say Christian people because they're the only people who do this the most. They send you to hell all the time for almost everything. They always do it. But it's like, why is that always a thing? Like, why? Oh, you going to hell. You going to hell. You going to hell. You going to hell. You ain't going to get to heaven. You ain't heaven. Or you going to go to heaven. You ain't going. You going to hell. Like, why? Why is it so much focus on the afterlife? Like, think about it. Your focus is on afterlife. What about
So
the
living
life?
the life you want, right?
So that's kind of what I was asking.
Because it's the consequence of the present too. Like most people are concerned about the consequences that they're making now for the future. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't get with it. We all also think about that too. Even when we live in the now, if we're not gonna make certain sacrifice to have a business or have a certain live a certain type of way, we're not gonna do certain things. Then we know we're gonna alter that future in which we're trying to get to, right? So it's hard for people not to think about that if they want to attain that future because they need to know how to act now. Because everything is a reaction, right? Since we know everything is a reaction from an action to get to an action. So it's like, yo, we don't put together the right actions. How do you get to a destination without going through the right course of travel? So I think it's more also people wanting to go to a place and trying to figure out or map out points of trying to get there. No, none of them got the answer. Because my whole thing is whatever mistake you did in your past, what makes that mistake not obsolete you from getting into heaven? You know what I mean? So I think we all gonna have certain things like that that making, take away that spot from us. Ain't nobody has an answer. We're gonna actually guarantee you into a position that you really don't know the qualifications of other than the spiritual book that you draw out to be the commandments for that. You know what I mean? So.
And I agree with that walk if we're talking about like the people who actually walk the paths. But a lot of these niggas don't even walk the path. Like as far as their actions, you know what I'm saying? Like actually aligning with trying to go to the destination. Like there are people who walk the path. And I agree 100% those who walk the path. But a lot of these niggas ain't even walking the path. It's just a bunch of I believe and telling you what gonna be what.
I don't even know if I would say
that's in all religions.
I think to me personally, like just because you said it, just to bring it up, it's really a side note. I think it's a difference between belief and faith. If you believe something, most likely you know it real to a certain degree. When you have faith, you kind of like hoping and wishing, right? So my whole thing is, you know something that. Well, I guess I would say know and believe. Then you can believe in something and not know it. So.
I was about to say that believing is what you do when you don't know, because when you know it, you no longer believe it. You don't have to believe in something you know it.
Yeah.
Faith is more so in what people typically cannot grasp.
Yeah, so let me clarify. It's the lack of knowledge in a particular area, because then knowledge is no. So, most people rather not know. Like you think about this, like I talked to a bunch of people who into religions, they don't read the scripture. And what book they in? I don't care if they're Catholics, they don't read the. Okay, Muslims, some people, Muslims supposed to be devout readers in their thing. That's part of the thing. Well, that's part of all of them, really.
Oh
But
yeah,
a lot of people don't go into their teachings. You know what I'm saying? It is go through word of mouth. It's they own ancestry deliveries, which means they will speak stories and what else might say they're gonna catch it.
Pass down.
New era. Yeah, in this new era that we in, like you don't really live through that no more. I mean, it's cool to a certain degree, I guess you could say, based upon the individual. But like I say, always read the book. I don't understand like how you gonna go to class and never read the book. You know what I mean? Like everybody want to say they graduating and never been through the book, and I'm like, man, they treating religions like a person who won't care about college who getting a degree.
But
They just getting a degree to show on their shelf, but they ain't learning nothing about their study. You know what I mean? But they got the entitlement, and most people do a lot of things for entitlement. So that's an entitlement thing.
And that's why I brought up the part about actually walking the path, because there are people who dive into their doctrines and then actually try to live accordingly. But just like how you said, there is a lot of people though who claim the positions, but they're not reading or walking.
No.
Just talking.
I mean, but the pickaback of both of y'all about the doctrine and all that. My thing is, if Jesus and all that died years after, before they write the book, where they get the knowledge from to write the Bible or the Quran and all that shit?
You said, where did they get the what again? Knowledge.
Get the knowledge.
The information.
Yeah. Well, where they get the information from?
So this question is going to be different, predicated upon which book you want to speak about.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? It all depends on which book we want to attack, because the Bible has a very extensive history of development between all growing, and the Quran is also the same. The Tanakh is the same. Even the Holy Vedas in Hinduism is the same. It depends on which particular book you want to walk the path and how you want to dive into how it came to be. So it can be very extensive. I don't want to go into that question because that's like a long lesson. I can do it, but it's gonna be like, God damn, nigga, that's like a history.
Oh,
you want to start walking through things that have been stolen and this and all. Like, it'll be very lengthy. Let's predicate upon which
you start getting into. Then you start really getting into just a little bit. Like you start getting into these books and stuff like that. Then you understand like books are bound. Bound came from the people who are bound, and that's why they made books, because the books was a reputation of you being bound. So the whole thing was bound in thoughts to bound a man. But that is going to some deep things. That's why most of your religious books came from slavery, or people who was enslaved. Like when you get to your Bible and stuff, you got it from the Hebrews. Those are the Egyptians, where they were slaves to the Egyptians, right? And then you start talking about making books that are bound, and they came from the bound people. So most people who are bound write books.
Copy.
Like you want to write a chef book, right? Because you're a chef, you bound to chefing. It's part of your life. You bind to it, and it goes deep. We talk about that another day.
That's what I'm saying, dog. Like we can really dive into something like that, man. But it'll just be so lengthy, and it'll become such a history lesson that most people will be like, I ain't gonna hear all that shit now.
Yeah. I got you.
So Deuce brought up something about the way people shift. It was one of my questions. Is religion still as sacred? Like from what you see with people, like is it still as sacred as it was from those of yesteryears? Like I know, like you have like the heavy embedded people who, of course, they carry it. But when we look at it like overall mass, is it still, in y'all opinion of what y'all see, is it still holds this level of sacredness that it once was? Because you remember one time in life, I ain't care what people did, whether they was going to war, it was all this, they always went back to whatever the scripture that they resided in. But No, you don't really see it as much today. So what y'all think about that? Is it as sacred as it was of yesteryears? Izzy, I'm gonna start with you. In your opinion.
No, heck no. I think honestly, I do think that like people like to like push the boundaries of what we can and can't do. You know, a lot of people like, you know, religion is like something that's supposed to be like, you know, pure and practice, but it's like I feel like people like take it and then twist it and customize it to fit what they want. And that's really like manifesting a lot of the practices that happen today, you know, like, you know, we're not staying married, we're having sex before marriage, we're, you know, just drinking, smoking, we're getting tatted, we're doing all these things that like, you know, is supposed to be like, we're like and all religions are, you know, it's supposed to kind of like carry out this like pure form, quote unquote pure form. But like, I don't know, people like, you know, take it and then run with it. But again, you know, it kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like, if I was made in the image of God, you know, this is who I am. So, you know, if God is in me and I'm like God, then I don't know. Like, it's something that I go back and forth with. Like, I feel like religion, what it wants, it definitely changed from the course of years, to like what it's supposed to be or what it was looked at as to what it is now. But like, you know, I am who I am, so you know, it's hard to answer that one.
I am all that I am.
Mm-hmm.
What you think about it, Deuce? What you think about it, man? Is it still from your optician, man? When you look at the world, do it seem to be as sacred as what it used to be?
Well, your spiritual journey, you can't help but be sacred. You can't get out of being sacred in your spiritual journey. I don't care what nobody says. It's just because that's so close and personal to you, you can't get away from that part.
Mm-hmm.
The organization of religion, that's all predicated on a person how they feel as they going and receiving whatever they're receiving from that religion. How dear, what kind of endearment that they attach themselves to give it to that reverence of being sacred. But it's hard to have a lot of secret knowledge when before sacred was secret, right? And a lot of things are being revealed nowadays. So long as a lot of things are being revealed, you have to ask yourself then, is the religion sacred? No, if it's been revealed, but spiritually, yes, everybody's gonna have that sacredness to them. Because my whole thing is, if your secrets and your secrets are being revealed, then it's really not that sacred or secret. You know what I mean?
So with
It got
that,
diluted, if you want to say. I don't want to say it couldn't be. It just got diluted because of the
yeah.
information out now.
So because and I agree because you know certain it all depends on the timeline you study. Maybe so many stuff be in my mind because it's like it's so many different placements to address this. But what you said about being secret, that was a big thing one time. That what kept things sacred was when you kind of hid it from others. So my question to you, dudes, do you think that passing that out makes it, in your opinion, do you think that would make it less sacred? Like just going off of the secrecy side of it. Do you think that would make it less sacred by people passing it? Beyond like beyond the tribe? Because of course, you know, you keep it within your people. So beyond the tribe, do you think it make it less sacred when people start passing it?
No, I think the truth going to be the sacredest thing of all. So my whole thing is like, when I mean the truth, like actual facts. I ain't just talking about hypothetical thoughts and theories. So like any truth that's being revealed that comes to be true and shows itself true is sacred. Truth should be the most sacred of things. So my whole thing is the revealing was supposed to be sacred. but because of our coded ways from back in the day for persecutions and certain things in certain ways, that what made it sacred because people didn't want to get persecuted, right? So they kept the things a secret. But my whole thing is the truth is supposed to be revealed, and that would your sacred is not supposed. What is sacred is not supposed to be a secret. Period. Because it's supposed to be truth. If you got to hide it, that's because most likely you're under a certain type of persecution or judgment. And that's why they hid it before. It wasn't really they try to keep it a secret. They were just trying to get persecuted or outcast. You know what I mean?
And that's that. I totally agree with that. That's why I asked because I was like, I don't think that being a secret has anything to do with saying the sacredness of it. I was like, I think the sacredness lies within your personal value to whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? I think it's based upon the individual. So I agree with you 100%. I totally agree.
We don't have the same persecutions as before. And that what made it sacred because you was willing to die behind certain things that you don't have to die behind before at this particular moment. So that's why I would say it was secret because it was death behind your secret.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to have death behind your secret. You can be open with it, especially if you're over here in the United States. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, most definitely.
My whole thing with the secret was because the secret was what kept you alive. If you believe something, you know what I mean? You express yourself the wrong way, and that'll probably been the end of your breath. You know what I mean? Your last breath you take. So that's why certain sacred secrets was what it was because of persecution. But as a day, we already know that the truth is always going to be revealed, and that should be what is secret. Because I wouldn't want to lie to you as my brother. I want to share truth to you because of the bond we have and what we're supposed to be growing and showing. So my whole thing, if you're going to keep secrets from me, and you no secrets stop helping me to grow, then you really a hindrance to my life, and I really don't want you around. You know what I'm saying?
I think connection is where the sacred side lies. Whether it's doctrine, whether it's people, whether it's anything, I think it's your personal connection is what is.
That's why I say your spiritual journey is going to be the essence of your sacredness. Mm-hmm. And, you know what I mean? People try to tie their sacredness to religion, and I tell them, nah, you're going to be on your spiritual journey. Your personal one, because that's gonna be what's dear to your heart and your mind. That's what you're gonna really focus on. And if you're going, my whole thing is people join all kind of religions, right, and still walk away because it don't appeal to the essence. So
yeah, because it's not the fulfillment. Like it's almost like people want to belong, but they're not actually feeling completed because it actually really isn't as sacred to them as they would lead it to believe. You know what I'm saying? It might be sacred to the person who they tried to emulate after, but it really doesn't hold for them.
And that's another thing now that you should be talking about is like, yo, if you're part of religions that is not sacred to you, are you fake about it? You got to ask yourself, are you being fake about your own religion that you say you good with, but it's not close and sacred to your heart? So now you got to ask yourself, are you being fake? You know what I mean? About your own choice of religion that you don't hold dear to your heart. You know what I mean?
What y'all think about that? What y'all think about that though? Would y'all say that though? Like if that person, if it ain't sacred to them, would y'all call them being fake?
I ask why they still in there.
Like would you say you be like, yo, you being kind of fake, ain't it? If it like, but then I guess we kind of I guess we would then be making an assumption that
we don't. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Because everybody don't get involved with it for the same reason too. So it's like, I kind of can't say they would be being fake because I got to know why you're doing it in the first place. Because there are some people who just do things to please. Like I know people who follow certain religions only because they parents and they really care nothing about it. And they only pick it up and they only dive into it just because of their parents. And that's it.
Want to make their parents happy and all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it really has nothing to do
with you. Just because you do one dish don't make you a chef, right? So my whole thing, just because you come to tents for meetings, you know what I'm saying, and say you're part of the organization, but you don't know nothing about it, don't make you part of it. Like you fake to me. Like don't go into the kitchen.
I get what you said. I get what you said.
And you can only give me half of a dish, or you making a dish. It only got all the ingredients. Like nah, man, like you fake right now. You ain't no chef. You trying to cook. You know what I mean? Don't tell me that you're trying to do something, that you are something. You trying to do something, you trying to become it. I understand. Everybody get a becoming moment. Everybody gets the initiation moment, whatever the journey they walk into. They got to learn. But at some point, it's like, don't tell me you're a cook. you know what I mean, you're a chef, and then you can't cook when you go in the kitchen. You know what I mean? So I tell a person, like, most times I see people be like cooks, but they call themselves chefs. I think, no, you just experiment in the kitchen. You really can't cook. You're not a chef. Like, don't label yourself as something that's unnecessary. Your qualification.
So I agree with that, because I think me and Maddie B was having this conversation about something, and because I always say this, like when I hear people say they Muslim, they Christian, or something like that. When I see people who don't walk the path, I always say they're not really there. They just claiming it. Because I agree. Like, there has to be something that separates it versus just saying just the claim. You know what I'm saying? So when I always be like, yo, what's the rules of engagement? Like, what's their protocol? Okay, so if you're not following it, then why you keep saying you Christian? You ain't even following it. Like, it has to be more than just claiming. Like, I understand you might be trying, but at some point, don't say you Christian or don't say you Muslim. Say, I'm trying to be. Because a lot of people claim these things all the time, and they always just say, I'm a work in progress. But at what point do you actually do what you do? Because a lot of people are just talking. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. Because I say it about many people. I'd be like, nah, that person ain't such. As a matter of fact, me and my kids joke. Me and my sons be joking about that. I'd be like, you see how they claim they be Christian, right? Them niggas ain't no Christian. Niggas just claiming that shit. I said, well, they ain't following the rules of engagement. I said, that's the bullshit behind it. I said, at what point do we acknowledge the actual work that go behind it? I said, they do got a code. They do got a path. But a lot of people ain't walking the path. So I agree. I wouldn't say that they faking it. I'll just say you're lying.
Well, do you think it's like, I guess like the fault of like, in that case, like maybe like the parents like telling like their children that they're Christian without them actually even knowing what it is or practicing it or even understanding it?
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep. 100%.
Definitely.
100%. That you can just get around it and then everybody just take the title. Even though there's no actual thorough understanding of this actually essence or the element in which that we're trying to partake in. Because you get it without context. You get it, and then a lot of people, especially in the Black community, you get it, and then they just push forward at you that that's the right thing to do. So now you're doing it because you believe that it's right. You really know nothing about it, but you just believe that it's right. And then you hear your pastors or whatever may have you say a bunch of stuff, and a lot of them people don't read the Bible. They just regurgitate what whoever sits at the behind the pedestal and just keep talking. Whoever podium, they just say what they say. Don't even know how to look through the Bible. Don't even know how to find it. You be like, yo, chapter such and such, verse this, just couldn't even find it. So you can tell the ones who really know, because they find that shit like this. The ones who don't.
Let's put a little humanism to it. Not everybody has the capacity also to go do things to a certain degree either. It's like, I don't have the capacity to go through all the degrees that KG has went to get all his belts for his fighting abilities, right? Don't have the desire, need the capacity. And so we gotta also remember that too when it comes to like certain things, when it comes to these deep religious thoughts and how well or deep somebody is into something. Some people don't have the capacity to go as deep as other people.
And to go back to that point though, but for the people who don't have the capacity, you are not that. And that's the point though. You are not that. If you don't have the capacity or the discipline to move through it, then you are not that. That's what I was saying. You're just trying, like you're not there.
Yeah, that's why all us be tested when we go through whatever choice we choose to make to say we're going to become. That's why I always going to come with tests to see if you really going to become what you say you want to become. Mm-hmm. So like you say, like if you don't pass this test at the end of the day, then you can't become it. And I think that go back to the question that we had earlier about when we start thinking about heaven and hell, or the future and the past and stuff like that. And then it's like, if we're preparing ourselves in the now to pass the test for that, I think people are also trying to get, hopefully, if they think they're going to have to take a test. Because I'm going to tell everybody, I think everything going to come with a test. I don't think nothing comes free in this world.
I agree 100% with that. I think everything sometimes you have to prove something. You can't just get anything without having no proof of it. I think you got to prove everything.
Mm-hmm.
Prove yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's just like even with like just people like in like the natural essence. Like I say this all the time. Like hard times is what typically develop, and you really don't know who is what until you go through hard times. You don't know who. Like you can have homeboys. Everybody can say, "Yo, I'm down with you. I got you. I got you." But if y'all never go through nothing, if y'all don't never get in the trench, you don't know if that nigga really gonna be there or not. Same thing within relationships. Everybody can sit here and tell you, "Yeah, I love you so much. You mean the world to me." But the moment you lose that job, she out the door. But she loved you so much. But I guess she loved money maybe a little bit more. Or maybe you slipped up. She loved you so much, but your dick kind of took a path and went the other way. But she hauls ass. I'm just saying, a lot of people claim it. Like without these tough times, you really don't know who's really, really there for you. I say this all the time.
Went the other way.
Everybody love to say they with it until shit hits the fan. And this is what I love about being in like the MMA gym. Because you know what you can't do in there? A bunch of talking. Right. You can't do a bunch of talking. You know why? Because this is a room and a gym full of niggas who want to get it in. So you can't come in here talking. You know what you got to do? Nigga, you got to get it in. That's why I love it. You ain't no talk. You got to put the gloves on. Better shut up. You want hair gear? No hair gear. It's optional. But if you fight me, I'm going to advise you to put that on. But you know what I'm saying? But you have to show yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I agree. Like, everything, like, show and prove, dog. Like, you have to be, like, if you cannot prove it, like, prove yourself in the essence, then you're not that. We call it false claiming. You just false claiming. You just waving the Muslim flag. It ain't really there. Raising the Christian flag. It ain't even that. Just raising the little Hindu flag. And it ain't even that. You just rocking the red dot, not even really participating. You're not that. You false claiming.
Young grasshopper.
I just don't believe people of that. Now, let's talk about this one. So if you're talking about control and how people make it, and we already tapped in about being a personal journey, how does religion typically affect relationships? I got a question. I always wanted to know, well, I got my ideas. Do y'all think that people can really make it truly if they believe in two different religions? Now, I know most people typically say no, but I want to know y'all thoughts though. Do you think a couple, young man and young woman, can really make it if they got two different gods? What y'all think? Easy. What you think?
I do, but the only way they can make it is if one person gives in. Like, there's only like, I feel like, you know, with religion, it's kind of like, you know, a sense of self. It's a sense of belief. It's a sense of who you are. It's a sense of who your family are. It's a sense of who you want your kids to be. So, I mean, I think it's like if you have, I think someone has to be like the dominant and someone has to be like the one that's going to give in order for it to work at all. And that's like a maybe. Like, you know, there's a high chance of it not working because, again, it's your sense of self. But if it was to work, then, you know, one person would have to, like, you know, either convert or be open-minded.
So when you say give in, do you mean conversion when you say give in? Like when
you that would sound like.
What do you mean by give in?
That would sound like.
Because if one person has to give in, then that answer to the question would then be no, they wouldn't be able.
I would even say, well, no, I wouldn't even say like conversion because, you know, giving in means it's like if you didn't meet this person, you wouldn't originally be that. More so just accepting like this is what it is. I love this person, and you know, maybe this is the best person I found, and like the religion is like the one thing that's like, you know, I can look past, and you know, and this is where people might like, you know, put on a little act on, or like, you know, just practice or not practice or be a little bit wishy-washy with it, but like they'll, you know, like give in, you know, they'll be cool with it, they'll practice it but not actually believe it. You know, I see a lot of people do that just because they want the relationship to work, or you know, maybe the relationship is just like the best they ever gotten. So they're willing to do or give a little bit of themselves to that person and lose. And in turn, it's never really good because, you know, if you're like giving into that, you're like losing a part of yourself. So,
But wouldn't that be lying? You trying to pleasing somebody? That'd be lying. That'd be lying to
I
yourself
mean,
and lying to your religion. The pussy can't
niggas
be
lie
that
every
good for you
day,
to
B.
goddamn
So
take
it's
you
like, I don't know. Yeah, but life goes on.
Ain't no pussy.
You hit it with the paid in full. Hey man, niggas lie every day.
I'm sorry, it's just what it is.
So basically, the answer then would pretty much to sum up everything you said. The answer would be no. Then
No.
No to what?
like to the question, like could they actually work if they believed
I
in two different
mean,
religions?
in
Because if somebody
terms
doing all
of
that
being
division
together
and all
physically,
that means it's not working.
in terms of being together physically, yes. Mentally, probably not.
Okay, Josh, what you think about the question? What you think? Could they make it?
Now somebody got to give in and change who the fuck they are. Hell nah. Especially if you got that strong belief, like you believe you stand on what you believe. Nah, it ain't gonna work. If both of them bullheaded, ain't gonna change. Nah, it's not gonna work.
In a healthy relationship, now in a toxic one.
Even in the healthy religion, just like you say, if everything good except religion, and nobody backing down, how the relationship gonna work?
The hell is that? Deuce, what you think about it? Can two people can they make it if they believe in two different things?
Nah, because at some point, somebody not gonna like the compromise. That's what it always described to breaks the camera back. Things always work for a little bit until somebody make a stance. As soon as somebody make a stance, that's when all hell break loose. So,
Well, what do you guys consider working? Do you guys consider working like being together physically, or like getting together? Like,
So I don't.
What do you mean?
Okay. So personally, I don't like. No,
okay, that was kind of like the same thing. Like, you know, like being together physically, like, you know, being like married or like in a relationship, or like actually agreeing and like looking at or being on like the same playing field in terms of thought and religion and everything. Because there's marriages that are together that are that people have already like, you know, completely are on the opposite thought patterns of literally everything. So it's like, you know, but they're still married. So
we talking about traditional manners, then it's all about oneness, right? Not division, right? So my whole thing is we talking about traditional oneness of marriage. Then what is all this division? Like,
okay, if you're talking about traditionally, then no. But
right.
if you're talking about like being together actually and disagreeing on things like religion, then yes, people do it all the time.
But the problem is when you're getting together, though, we still trying to unite as one, though. Because if I ask,
are we though?
I mean, I would assume
that's the thought, but
I hear you. I would assume that if I'm choosing to be with this woman, we're trying to unify to that degree. I would at least hope that was the plan. Like, I mean, I know people get together for many different reasons, but I don't understand. Like, I'm with Deuce on that. Why so much division? Like, that's kind of I don't know with that one.
I don't think
Deuce, go ahead and answer the question.
Yeah, I don't think people need to get together if it's going to be with a bunch of divisions. After something's going to divide you. You already got structures that you come. At some point, you're supposed to be coming together as a unit, right? You got a bunch of individual situations going on. What's the point of being a unit?
Absolutely, but I feel like even that thought process is a luxury, you know? Like there's a lot of people who get together for different reasons other than like, you know, just like uniform thought processes. Like, you know, people that are in I think we're speaking on like more so like in an American type of way. Like, there's people in like, foreign countries that get married for like money, or they get married for, family, to like, unite their families or different tribes and things like that. So they might not all think the same way or believe the same things, and you yourself said like religion, is not like, it can be practiced in like different senses, like in business and all that stuff. So I just feel like, it would be nice if like, we're in uniform religion, and like, we would separate if we didn't think the same, but that's not always the case, and that's kind of like a luxury in some places.
Yeah.
So I understand completely what it is that you're saying. And I think in an ideal world, it could happen that way. Well, we could have these different belief systems and all this other stuff like that, and how that's going to work. But then I think it becomes a lot trickier because you said earlier when you broke into about how we raise our family. That's where that rubber, how they say the rubber gonna meet the road. Because now when you talk about teaching your children, who are they going to get both? Do someone want to take the back seat? Do you share both? How do we go about building the structure? Because most people aren't as accepting. Usually people who push these systems ain't really as accepting as we would hope that they would be. So how would that then work? Because if that man is such a take charge dude, he's going to be like, yo, no, we're going to be doing this. Let's say the man Muslim is Christian. The guy's going to be like, no, they Muslim. Then the mother's going to be like, well, they Christian. She come from a Christian family. How would that then work? So yes, it may work for them as far as individual paths, and it is about them as individuals, but then when they go to come together, it does shift the dynamic because you're no longer operating as an individual now. So ideally it works as long as you're looking at yourself as an individual. But when you come together though, how could that even work? I don't see it working.
Okay, but Black and white get married, Asian and Hispanic get married. Those are different races. So what's the difference between that?
Religion is about your mental aspect.
Yeah,
how you
You don't think there's different practices within those racial groups?
Yeah, it is different practices. Don't get me wrong. When we talk about religion, though, we talking about something that you about to look. People get married under religion. People die over religion. Religion is so heavy in people's lives. You got to understand that you just can't toss that up to a racist type of theory. Because like, don't get me wrong, we deal with racist stuff too, black and white issues. But religion, let me put this. You can choose a religion and die individually as well together. So most likely when you choosing a religion, that almost is like it's supposed to be like your death contract. Like you join the army and you say, yo, I'm down with this for life. You know what I'm saying? This is my contract. That's how religion is. Religion is like you join a militia. This is a life or death situation that most people don't understand that's how deep it goes. And that's why they get into the marriages under religions, because then you under life and death institutional rights until you go into all this new modern day stuff. Most of that stuff was life or death situations and agreements. So I can understand it when people talking about not taking on these outlooks from that standpoint. But you gotta remember, this is what these standpoints was built on, like that strong of a conviction. So if you don't hold that strong conviction, why have all these other convoluted things that gonna separate you? Because you're already saying that you're not going to be agreeable. What's the point of getting into a bunch of disagreements and a bunch of division? I'm just trying to figure out what all the people get mad for other reasons. They can, but we really trying to see why they're not going to become one. If you're not going to become one, why come together? I'm just confused about this whole thing. Like, why choose somebody who is so opposite of you? Just because they're attracted to you? But that's supposed to be your yin and your yang? I'm not understanding. Like, to a certain degree, where's the cooperation? I don't get it. Like, why keep going into these situations, thinking about all the divisions instead about thinking about how to become one? From a,
Yeah, like now I've seen, of course, I've seen people who are religious and then the other person is not religious. But it's very hard. It's very hard, dog, for both people to be strong in their individual faiths and make that work. I can't see it.
Yeah, a not religious person just don't care though. So it's like
that's what I'm saying. Because that's what I'm saying. Like if that person don't care, they just ignoring all that shit anyway. They're like, yeah, my wife, she love the Lord. She all such and such. They don't pay no attention. But that's very difficult if it's a person. He's very heavy. He's always talking Muhammad, and then this person is always talking Christ. Like, it's a lot. Like, I don't see it. I just don't see it happening.
Care about something they care about.
Yeah,
I just don't. Now you want to tell me not to care about something I care about, and I'm gonna tell you not to care about something you care about. How we gonna come together and care about something when we both don't care about what we care about?
Yeah, I just don't see it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you care about this, I don't. I'm always making decisions that upset you because you don't care, and I'm gonna do things that you don't like. I'm gonna cook food that you don't like. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you that on Saturdays I'm cutting off everything, and you might want to go do all kind of things with me, but I'm not participating. Now you're frustrated. I'm gonna be living a lifestyle that you don't like.
Or the holiday side. She might be want to be engaging in Christmas because she keep running with this concept of this the birth of Jesus, and he's like, nah, that ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm not doing that. I'm not celebrating Christmas. Like, it's going to impact it. It's going to be too many different things that's going to be like, yo, how's this going to work? Yeah. It's like how Duke keeps saying, it's going to be a lot of things that's going to be like, yo, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. On both sides. So how do you make that work?
I don't think people see all the divisions too at the end of the day. Hold
up. I got you. I got us.
I don't think they see all the difficulties that are going to come with having two separate lives like that.
But this is why I said originally someone has to give in for it to work.
But them giving, that's why I asked that question. Like when you said like, what was the giving in? Because really the giving is kind of the conversion. Like you're really putting yours aside to be able to give in. But your religion shouldn't be a compromise because then you're denying part of who you are. So how does that really work if you're trying to make this relationship work, but then you're denying who you are internally? How does that?
Well, I originally did say like you probably would lose your sense of self if you did do that, but again, people do that all the time. People people lose their sense of self for things much less than religion. So it's like, just to be with that person, the essence of that person, people will give a lot of themselves to that person.
I mean, is it hard to choose somebody at your table though, on your level? I mean, well, it's not that level. It's just hard to choose somebody at your table. Instead of looking at somebody else's table that you don't sit at, you don't belong in, you don't travel to, why go pick somebody else at that table all the way over there instead of at the table you at?
And that's a question for their therapist. I mean, but people do it all the time.
I mean, I agree with you that people do it. I guess because I'm my focus. I'm so much on people, building themselves. I just would never advise you to lose yourself. I'd rather you throw that whole relationship away, dog, before you lose yourself.
Ideally, yes. Yeah,
know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I get it, but I agree with you though. People do it all the time because there are a lot of marriages that ain't got that. Some people don't even want to be with the person at all. People definitely do it. They definitely do it, and a lot of that is just pressure and control from the family, though.
Right.
That's allowing other people to control your life.
What good is it to a man to gain the world but lose his soul?
In the process.
Yeah. Nah, I'm let her go. I'm not gonna lose myself.
That's why I said I can't lose me. I'd rather lose you than lose me.
Yeah.
Nah.
That's
they
crazy.
say if you got gangrene, you gotta cut it off. You gotta go. That's how I tell a woman. Hey, anybody it gotta be a woman, it could be a friend. If you become gangrene to me, man, you know what that means. I gotta cut you off. Like that's just how life is. Like otherwise, I'm gonna die holding on to you. I don't think we're gonna live life like that. That's not gonna happen. Well, I'm not gonna accept it. jump off whatever bridge you want to, though.
I agree, man. All right, y'all. Listen, that was all I really had for us, man. Y'all got anything else y'all want to build on this, religious conversation?
Oh, yeah, I got something to say. Do not accept your spiritual journey. It's part of your essence in life, and you're gonna be able to get away from it anyway, because things gonna draw you and attract you to it. And there's gonna be a lot of different religious studies and theologies that you can pick up on in life. But my whole thing is don't lose yourself. Stay true to you. I mean, that don't mean go out there and be evil, though. Just stay true to yourself. And however you define evil.
Yeah, one quote I always love to go off of, like, listen, man, searching for yourself, man, is the journey of a lifetime, and life is what happens in between. And it's simply to say, like, you will always forever be growing and building. So whatever it is that you're choosing to be a part of and walk with, understand it should always be to the betterment or making you become better and being, bring out the best out of you. And don't get so caught up and overwhelmed in a lot of these goals and tasks, dog, that you miss out on life itself, because life happens. I don't care how goal-oriented a person is and the drive you got, life is fucking happening. So you can be focused and do all this other shit like that, but life is going to keep happening to you. So always keep your eye. I always tell people, man, you don't want to live in the present and throw away everything, but you also need to enjoy the life that you live in. I just believe in enjoying the life that you live in. That's why I'm a simplistic man. My joy comes from very basic things. I'm just simple like that, and it works. So that's all I would just tell people, man.
Yeah. There's many things out there to search from, but there's only one love.
Mm-hmm. All right, gang. So before we get up out of here, y'all know how we do. Y'all run y'all plugs, let the people know where they can find you, what y'all got going on. Let them know.
Well, everybody should know that Vocal Vision is due for service. You can go hit us up at Facebook on Vocal Visions. You can hit up on Gmail, vocalvisions@gmail.com. Into our YouTube, we got Humble Beginnings, Kevin Perspectives, and Odyssey Your Experience. And plus, y'all know we got a whole group and family members now that we're growing with Chef Izzy and everybody else part of the team. So make sure they all go check out all the channels that we are building up. And you're going to be very diverse, you know what I mean, in the different aspects. And hopefully chefs start putting out some cooking things that we start learning some tips on how to become chefs, our own personal chefs in our own personal kitchens, Izzy gonna get one. Izzy got more things coming up, but I don't know if Izzy want to reveal things yet. So we wait to be ready for that.
I always got a master plan.
I know, right?
Where y'all plugs, Izzy? Let them know where they can find you.
So, if you guys want to be inspired by someone that's fashionable, that's fabulous, that's just really like an evil genius, you can follow me on IzzyOjo94 on Instagram.
Chef Joe, let them know where they can find you, man. What you got going on?
Yo, you can find me on Chef Joe with the Pots 2 on Instagram and TikTok, and Cooking with Chef Joe on YouTube. I do food reviews. I also do travel blogs as well. Well, I need to start doing it because I travel so damn much. And start posting cooking videos. So, yeah.
Yeah, we got real chefs. We ain't got just cooks. No pretending to know how to operate the kitchen. That's the real chef.
Ramen noodles with the Vienna sausage? No.
That's a delicacy, okay?
Exactly. You know what I mean? But yeah.
All right, guys, y'all already know me. This is KJ. We definitely gonna be back next Monday. We got the Let's Stay Together the show. We're gonna talk about staying together. A lot of people love talking about, how they so fast to run will make them get out of situations. But we gonna dive into what the fuck would make you stay. We know what will make. We done heard what will make people leave, but I want to know what the fuck will make you stay with a person. What is worth the sacrifice of staying? Fuck what'll make you leave. I don't know what the fuck will make y'all want to stay. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna definitely make sure we gonna do that. We're gonna definitely do that next Monday. So, this was another good show, guys. Hey, until next time, people, we out. Peace.
Right. Peace.